With the highest Leave vote in the country, this is Britain's Brexit capital.
Broccoli, broccoli, 3 for £1.
And the people of Boston know why.
Immigration.
Immigration.
Immigration, definitely.
Immigration.
For immigration.
Those views are hardly a surprise. On last count, 13% of people living in this town were born abroad. Last year, more foreigners came here than left, and in some businesses, 95% of the workforce are Europeans. But while some people tell me this town has become unrecognisable, many of these migrants are now vital parts of our communities. They work in our NHS, in our shops, in our fields. So what happens if they leave?
Well, this is the European Market Shop Centre.
Here in West Street, the mixture of cultures is plain to see. But Z Barbaks, a Latvian community leader, says since Brexit, many EU residents are thinking of moving out of the UK.
Roughly about 30% European people living and working in the Boston area, and they have the shops as well, like in West Street, they have more than 10 shops. That means if people leave, them shops is one by one be closing down as well.
The NHS is one of the areas which could be seriously impacted if the EU migrants leave. 339 work for the trust that runs Boston's hospital, while 25 European doctors are being brought over to make up for a lack of local GPs. You see, this county, like much of the UK, is frequently faced with staff shortages. Unions say it needs an extra 300 nurses and midwives alone, and EU workers are indispensable.
Well, the reality of it is there are 33,000 EU nurses currently working across the NHS in the UK. There are 330 odd working in this particular organisation. I don't think that any organisation could sustain such a large loss in one hit and cope with it. So I don't think they would cope with a mass exodus of nurses.
But it's in the fields surrounding Boston and across Lincolnshire that you see the real impact of EU migrants. Whereas a few hundred are employed at the hospitals, it's estimated 20 to 30,000 work in agriculture. Sue Lamb has been selling flowers for more than 30 years. All but 2 of her staff are European. She says she can't rely on British labour.
They basically just don't want it. We've lost the work ethic of people wanting this sort of work.
What would happen then if your EU workers either decided to leave because of Brexit or had to go?
We would finish virtually overnight, as would many other industries in this area.
But back in town, many take a different view and see Brexit as an opportunity for locals.
Basically, the vacancies would be there. This would entail more businesses recruiting from locally.
Why aren't British people who are currently unemployed then doing the jobs?
Because we're lazy. That's the plain fact of it all. And because they think, oh, other people are here, we don't need to do it.
So why will that change?
And the reason it would change is because the jobs would be vacant and they would have no excuse.
It may have had the highest Leave vote, but in reality it will be several years until we know the true impact of that decision. Who will take over the shops if the Europeans go? Who will fill their jobs? Whatever happens, it's highly likely that communities like this one, which have been so transformed by our closer ties to Europe, will also be the most changed when they're severed. Siobhan Robbins, Sky News in Boston.